So welcome. My name is Kraig Suttie. I'm here with Kraig Chiles. We are, or I am with Turf and Boards and MASL Off the Wall, and we're going to have a short discussion here with Kraig. Kraig, you've been consistently among the leading scorers since you got into your professional career indoors. Most recently, among some of your many awards and accomplishments, you were named first team All MASL last season.
Nice.
Right?
Yep. Maybe second team. Maybe.
No, you were first team.
Okay.
And I'll say
I'd
so.
have to relook at that one. Yeah.
So, and we're going to touch on some of those different accomplishments as we talk today, but as I'm going to say, anybody who's watching, they can look this stuff up. I mean, these things are easy to touch on. You are local at Poway. You grew up in Poway?
Yep.
You went to Poway High School?
Yes.
And what I wanted to know is, just as an athlete, what made you choose soccer as opposed to the other sports?
You know, I played baseball growing up. Was a dual sport kind of kid, probably like most of the San Diegans around here. You know, played a little bit of baseball. Probably at 12 or 13, I kind of had to make a decision whether I was going to play baseball, continue with soccer.
Wow.
Kind of narrowed down and pick one. And at that point, I picked one, and I went in a more competitive direction and joined the Nomads at the time, which was kind of the premier boys club.
That's right. I remember the Nomads. They actually had a semi-pro team at one time.
Yeah, they did. And Derek coached the Flash, the A-League team.
Right.
There was a lot of Nomad connections then, including Cheeky and Nate Etherington and those guys.
Right.
That played with me early in the soccer's reign.
Wow, that's very cool. And you had success in high school on the soccer field.
Yeah, I was a good player. You know, nothing great. I don't think I ranked in the top anything in goals or points, but good player. Played, varsity for 3 years. Was picked up to San Diego State after my senior year in high school, and that's when I think I realized that I could potentially push it and play into college and beyond.
So that's what I wanted to bring up next, was your time at SDSU.
Yeah.
And the success continued. You were named first team All Pac-10 your senior year. And I don't remember the numbers, but you had pretty good goal counts for the time you were there. Talk about your college career.
Yeah, looking back on it, I'm going into my 10th professional season, and I think I probably had the most fun and developed the most through college. I was a good high school player. I was a young kid, a little bit of a punk coming out of high school into college, and Lev turned me into a grown man, turned me into a man who understood the game, who understood role and responsibility and what I needed to do for the team and as an adult kind of moving forward. And I think those 5 years under Lev at San Diego State really pushed me to become a legitimate player, and through those experiences I was able to get a major league contract. But I look back on my college experience as, the first time playing with what I would consider my family and best friends and being on the field together. It was a fantastic 5-year run, and I tell all young players, the goal should be to get to college and get your college paid for through soccer.
Wow, yeah. Wow, that's huge.
And that's an avenue that a lot of people should be looking at.
That's huge. Now, I followed SDSU back when Marcelo Balboa played for him.
Yep.
But regrettably, I stopped following the team when yourself and Aaron Susi, Keeks Tovar, came through. So it was. I'm familiar with that program.
Yes.
Somewhat early on. So you were drafted by Chivas USA.
Yep.
And that was, what was it, 9th overall?
It was 9th overall in the supplemental pick, which means not the major super draft or whatever.
Oh,
it is.
I got it.
So it's kind of the secondary round.
Okay.
I think that year Chivas only had one pick because of trade allocations or something they had done in the past, and that didn't matter. If you get drafted 15 in the super draft or 155 in the super draft, your contract's not guaranteed.
Gotcha. You
got to show up and play, and the best 28 or whatever it was got offered contracts at the end of camp, and I was there with players that got drafted. I watched players that got drafted 14, 15, 16 in the super draft get released on the third day of camp.
Wow.
Because they just weren't at the level, and that's all the coaches care about.
Wow, yeah.
And that's how that went down.
So talk about that year with the MLS.
It was a good year. I played with a lot of big-time veterans like Claudio Suarez, Sasha Kleshtin, Brad Guzan, Jimmy Curtin, Jesse Marsh. Jesse coaches Red Bulls now. Jimmy coaches Philly now.
Wow.
Claudio Suarez, I think, is the most capped player in Mexican national history. So I learned a lot from those guys. I had limited playing on the field. I didn't impact the game that much. I played 6 to 8 games, all the reserve leagues, CONCACAF Champions Cup, Open Cup, that kind of stuff. But training day in and day out with that caliber of player and the intelligence of those players was a learning curve for me for sure.
So then, what was the trigger that brought you to arena soccer?
I had a decent year in the MLS. I played, 6 to 8 games and did this and did that. And at my end of the year meeting, it was, we want to bring you back into camp the following year and nothing's guaranteed. And there were talks about potentially signing me and loaning me at the time. And none of it sounded too appealing to me, to be honest. And I knew I had 3 classes left to graduate college. And so as I'm kind of getting toyed around I jumped back into college. I called Lev and I basically begged the admins at San Diego State to let me come in, and I crashed 3 classes 4 weeks into schooling, and I begged them and told them I'd make up everything. And literally 2 weeks after I enroll and I'm fulfilling my last 9 credits to get my diploma, I get a random phone call from a buddy. I think it was Nate Etherington that's like, "Hey, dude, you want to, my buddy's starting up a soccer team. You want to play?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm playing 4 days a week at the Y right now across the county, paying $100 each spot. For sure, I'm in." And that's really how it started. So it was really luck of the draw. And from there, outdoor was kind of a wrap for me.
Yeah. So I remember watching Julie V play both outdoors and indoors when the Sockers had an outdoor schedule and an indoor schedule. And I remember seeing Julie and his skill set sort of blend to the indoor game. Do you feel like the arena soccer, the game, the style of that game suits your style better?
Yes, without question. And I've always been one of the smarter players on the team in terms of soccer IQ. I've always been fairly technical and have a good technique when I hit the ball. Could never run, could never cover as much ground as most players. And fortunately, the indoor game completely catered to me. I can be less mobile and be a little bit more savvy and intelligent with my movement. And so 100%, I struggled at a D1 level even to cover the ground that some of these athletes would cover. And there was a player at San Diego State when I was there that would run 3 miles in 15 minutes and change. But when he played, it just, he didn't seem to cover as much ground as he could on a track type of thing. So, the indoor game definitely suits my ability as a soccer player.
So talk to me a little bit about Aaron Suttie. Was he something of a mentor for you?
100%. Yeah, Suttie kind of took me under his wing early. Him and I played in twos together for probably 6 or 7 years. And he was very much a mentor to me. He very much took me under his wing and tried to teach me the role that I'm currently still playing. So I owe a lot to Suttie. He's a big credit to my accomplishments. And I think he saw early that, we have a lot in common. We're both born and raised in San Diego. We both went to San Diego State. We both kind of, played a little bit after. And I think he looked at me as having a lot of potential and a good base to work with, and so he basically invested himself into me, which I really appreciate, and it's probably taken to me where I am today.
That's very cool. So one of the things that impresses me about you is about your style is your willingness and ability to finish what look like impossible shots. Okay. Can you comment on that? Because I mean, you're moving away from the goal and off balance and take the shot anyway.
It's hard to explain. Sometimes it's maybe an adjustment of your technique. There's certain players that can hit a ball with their laces or push past a ball with the inside of their foot. I think the best players are able to kind of adjust their technique to what they need to do at the time to get the ball on frame. And when I look back on it, I think the most important thing for an offensive player is to hit balls early, often, and shoot them on target. And it's a law of average. The goalies will come up with some big saves. The goalies will make some mistakes. And then every once in a while it goes in. So you just got to keep hitting balls, and you got to make sure you're hitting the target, because if you're not hitting the target, you're not scoring goals.
Let's talk about the level of competition in the Major Arena Soccer League today.
The level at the MASL is fantastic. It's the best of the best, and it's a combination of PSL and MISL players, and having the Blast and the Comets and Sonora and Monterey and all these teams in one big league is fantastic for the sport in general.
And So since the MASL began, the Sockers have remained consistently at the top of the game. The team has had trouble in the playoffs.
Yep.
There has been an exit on behalf of the Las Vegas Legends, and that was PASL,
Yeah.
the last year of the PASL,
Yeah.
and the first year of the MASL, if I recall.
Yep.
And then the last 2 years have been at the hands of the Soles de Sonora. Can you talk about those playoff runs?
Yeah, those are tough games, and you think about very good seasons coming down to 4 to 6 games, and that's what makes a champion. And quite frankly, we lost the home legs the first game of those playoff series, and that really cost us having to go down to Sonora or into Las Vegas and beat them on the road in the second game. It's not a good place to be. So we just got to make sure we capitalize on the first leg when it's your home game.
That home game is so important.
It's critical.
Yeah. The Sockers have brought in quite a few new players the last couple of years. And one of the things about the San Diego Sockers that's always impressed me has been the team continuity. So to speak, where the other guy is on the field at one time or another. With all of these new players coming in, where is that continuity with the team today?
Oh, we still haven't hit our stride, and I think internally we know that, and I think from an outsider's perspective, we look like a title contender, which is fantastic, because I think inside our locker room, we know that me and Pollo and me and Pee-wee and me and Brandon, we still have some nonverbal communication stuff that we have to sort out as players, and I think another 10 games, another 12 games, another 15 games, and we link up better, and we're a better team all around. So I think people look at it and go, dang, they're 7-0, they're scoring goals, they're defending very well, and us as highly competitive professional players are going, I should be better, you can be better, we together can be better, and I think that'll come with more games.
And then to speak to those players and the strength, just the roster on paper, just looking at the roster, it's loaded.
Yo, we're stacked. We're very good. And I think we're in a fantastic position. I love Monterey as 1. I love Milwaukee as 2. And I don't mind sitting there in the 3rd and 4th spot because I know what our team is capable of doing. And I know how challenging the West Coast Conference is. So we're in a very good spot. I think internally we know what we've got to continue to do. We don't think we're a complete team yet. We're not satisfied with what we're doing yet. And there's going to be a lot of work in the next 15 games. But the goal is to peak in February or late in the season. The goal is not to be 7-0. We don't care about that. We're focused on the next 15 games.
On that note, however, with the single elimination format, the regular season win-loss record is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
So how do you feel the Sockers match up right now with the Blast, the Flash, and the Wave?
All 4 very, very good teams. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes up when it's all said and done. I think that any given team could probably beat each other on any given night, and I think it's going to come down to who's focused and disciplined in those playoff games, and Baltimore will be, and who's injury-free. And I really think whoever has the deepest roster and the most of their guys ready to go in the end will have a lot of success. But we're taking it one game at a time, and we think going into the final season 22-0 is going to be a huge benefit. And we really think the teams that have that home field advantage in the semis and the finals put themselves in a really good position, and that's our main objective right now is to continue to win one game at a time and put ourselves in a spot where we may get that home field advantage deep in those playoff rounds.
So now, on a more personal note, I was in Ontario when you took what looked to me like a significant injury.
Yeah.
How bad was it really?
It was bad. I'm still dealing with my toe, actually, from the same injury. And
I was going to ask, how are you feeling
It was
today?
an injury that I never had before. Both my knee cap and my big toe hit the board at the same time when I kind of lost my balance. And my knee swelled up like a balloon, and my toe was, mangled. And it still is. My big toe's a little bit messed up, but it was what it was. I tried to get through it. It was really tough. I couldn't quite perform to what I wanted to my ability
for the remainder of
the series and the playoffs from there on out. And it took me months to get better, probably 3 or 4 months, and I'm still kind of dealing with the little toe injury. So it was a bad injury. It was kind of an undercover injury. Obviously, as an organization, we're not going to announce the fact that I just...
Yeah, I think I kind of blew that, by the way.
Or Craig Elstein does that one often, too. But yeah, I was like, oh, he's a little banged up. He'll be fine. It was bad. I was set back, that's for sure.
Can we talk a little bit about some related accomplishments? Let's talk about the 2015 Arena World Cup.
Yep.
That looked like a grueling tournament.
Yeah, it was. It was, but it was a proud moment. You know, you look back on that roster, and that was the best of the best. And I think you can look at that team and go, those were the best 15, 18 indoor players in the country at the time. And I'm not sure you can say that about the team that went to Tunisia. So I look back at that World Cup as an accomplishment that no one can take from me. Car accident right over there. No one can take from me, and I captained a fantastic team.
Yeah.
And took the Golden Boot and the Cup home, so it couldn't have gone better, but it was definitely tough.
So what kept you from going to Tunisia?
For me, it was safety reasons, and I didn't feel like the World Football Mini Federation did enough to say that we would be taking care of safety reasons. And I've traveled to Guatemala, Brazil, Panama, the list goes on and on with the U.S. futsal national team that is sanctioned by U.S. Soccer.
Right.
And we have had motorcades, we have had armed security guards on the bus, our hallway taken care of on the bus. We have had locations switched on the fly. This is your hotel, never mind you're at that hotel.
Right.
Just a lot of security stuff to keep you safe in what I would consider way safer countries than Tunisia.
Right,
and granted, everything went smoothly and there were no major issues, thankfully, but I just kept asking them, you know, guys, what are the safety protocols?
Yeah.
What are the procedures? What's going to happen? And they just kept saying, you know, quite frankly, you worry too much. And it was like, that is not the answer. It was like, cool, you can do whatever you want. And I told Phil, I'm choosing not to go. And at the same time, Phil and Cheeky and a lot of the guys looked at it and said, you know, this doesn't look like a good idea. They don't seem to be implementing enough security. So it was what it was. We chose not to do it.
It wasn't just your opinion. It was a shared opinion.
It was a shared opinion on a few people, and we were kind of pushed to the side.
Right. Wow. You've mentioned futsal a couple of times. Let's talk about that. You've been pretty active with the U.S. futsal team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, training with Keith Tozer for 7 or 8 years in the summer has probably made me the player that I currently am today in the indoor game.
Yeah, cool.
Fantastic coach, fantastic person, and just being a part of that group, you know, was something that kind of gave me an upper edge going into every season. I was training at an international level through 7 or 8 summers and jumping right into the season. So the speed of play in futsal translates to indoor, the speed of thought, your ability, technical ability, all that stuff translated to indoor. And futsal made me a better player in the indoor season without question.
What is the difference without the walls?
You have to be a little more accurate with your passing. You have to move the ball quicker. It's obviously a tighter space, so everything is quick. And if you can play to the speed of play of an Argentina or a Costa Rica on a futsal national team court, then you go in an MASL game against whoever, and it doesn't matter. It feels really, really slow. And then you've got an abundance of time.
That's right.
And if you ask like Andy or a rookie on the Soccers, how does it feel when you go out there? They would say it's lightning fast. And everything's so quick, and everything's moving so quickly. Well, after training with the national team, I go out there and everything looks really, really slow. So, it's just training. It's high-level training in the off-season that really helped me get to where I'm at.
Did I get my facts right? Did the San Diego Soccers win a United States national futsal
Yes, we did.
tournament?
Yes, we did.
Cup?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Talk about that.
I coached that team. Phil took the credit for that one. I took a team at the time to the USFF, U.S. Futsal Federation National Championships in Anaheim. So it was probably 3 or 4 years ago. We went up to Anaheim. We put together a very, very good team and took down the national final in an extremely competitive 2-1 game against Safuera, a team from Boston area. But I can tell you, the opening game of that tournament, it was me, Mike Mercarelli, Johnny Tapete, Eddie Velez, and this goalie, Mikey Johnson, from who played for Revolution at the time, and we
Okay.
showed up to 5 of us against 15 kids, and these 15 kids were like, wow, just 5 of them? This is going to be embarrassing, because it was Friday, and all of my team, all the guys worked, and they're like, we're going to smoke these guys, and we beat this team with no subs handedly.
With no subs.
And from there, we just snowballed and ran over the rest of the competition.
Judging by your reaction, this was a fun event.
Oh, it's fantastic, and yeah, it's a national championship, and
Right.
I look back on it now, and I've won an outdoor national championship, 4 indoors, and a futsal title.
Right.
And those are national championships that
Right.
somebody is awarded every year, and it was an opportunity to win a trophy.
And it's interesting to me that that you guys were tagged as the San Diego Sockers.
Yeah.
As opposed to pulling some club name,
Yeah.
out of the wind.
Yeah, it was through Phil, and I think it was Coach K at the time, and I called him and I said, listen, guys, this is an opportunity for us to market ourselves in the
Yeah,
off
I
season
agree.
and win a championship, and I go, look at this roster that I've put together of guys that are willing to play. Like, this team will win if you support us a little bit, and all we needed was Alex Monar came up and was our equipment manager and helped us just with drinks and lunch and this and that.
Nice.
And the uniforms, and that was literally it. Phil showed up for the finals, and I told him, sit down and don't say anything. Don't ruin what I've done, dude.
Right?
And so that was it. It was a good time. And the Sockers were super supportive, but they saw an opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's another trophy we have in the trophy cabinet
That's
now
really
at the sports
cool.
arena.
Yep. You are coaching the Cardiff Mustangs.
Yep.
Let's talk about your kids.
Yeah. Kids are great. Kids are 2, and 3. Twin boys are 2, and enjoyed the holidays, loved Christmas. They were all in for it. So it's fantastic. They just kind of started Little Kickers, this little mini clinic,
Nice.
and they're kind of running around the North County Soccer Park. So life on the family side, yeah, is fantastic. It's good.
So a little bit of a story. Having met your dad and had the opportunity to get to know your dad on that road trip up to Ontario, I've run into him a couple of times at the games.
Yeah.
And he's taken the opportunity to introduce me to your wife and your kids.
Yeah.
And at one moment, I knelt down next to your oldest daughter.
Yeah.
And I said, "So do you know that your dad's a rock star?" And she looked at me. She said, "No, he's a superstar."
Nice. Wow, that's crazy. I would not have guessed that. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was classic.
Oh,
it was classic.
They love the games. I mean, they literally talk about it for a few days, going out the bubble and running on the field. And then when it comes game time, they get all scared and quiver away. But they literally sit there like bug-eyed and they enjoy every moment of it.
It's been a blessing to get to know your family a little
Nice.
bit. So the Sockers and Soccer 2 are both holding their own at the top of the game.
Yep.
I think a lot of that has to do with your leadership. And it's been a pleasure to watch your career. I've been there since the early
Yeah.
days in Del Mar.
Yep.
And it's been a really pleasure to get to sit down with you, Kraig.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for coming down here and meeting with me today.
No problem.
I look forward to a really good season and bring home that
It's
championship.
the year.
Make McCluskey miss and then fire in between 2 guys and just beat Waltman near or far for San Diego. Sosa on the breakout now. Ortega all alone. Tacoma trying to get back. Ortega with the pass and the shot and the score. Oh. He finds Kraig Chiles all alone on the far post. And Chiles puts
Chiles and back to Claire. Chiles, there it is! Kraig Chiles, sharp angle into the side netting. Gonzalez, he'll curve one looking for Chiles. Chiles turns to it, he shoots and scores! Brilliant, and Chiles will not kick it, now he will, and he scores! Stutter step, frees the Sosa. Claire into the middle. Chiles shoots and scores. The hat trick. A left-footed goal. A power play score. Around. Right wing. Here's LSO. To Chiles for his 4th. Oliveira to Chiles. It looks like the dagger. Here's Claire again. Fake the shot. Passes. It's Chiles. He puts it in. Side netting. Kraig Chiles. His 4th goal of the year.
Was heading top corner, postage stamp. Coughlin said, "Nuh-uh."
Chiles, he'll do it himself.
Claire heads it across for Chiles. 3-goal lead for the San Diego Sockers. 1-1 for the Sockers. Chiles begging for it at the back post, and it's a tap in for Kraig Chiles. Goal number 310 in his career.
In the MASL, shutting them out, keeping a clean sheet for 55 minutes as Kraig Chiles puts it another.
Three-man wall for Atletico Baja. Chiles goes for glory. We are watching a legend. Kraig Chiles directly from the set piece picks out the top corner. About 60 miles for that away game. Claire can't pick out the far corner, but Kraig Chiles can pick out the rebound. 4 goals for Kraig Chiles, 10 goals for the San Diego Sockers. Quiros off for Chiles, we're level. Waltman still out of the arc. Escoto across to Chiles, we're level. Waltman made to pay for being a bit too lackadaisical.
Conjunto Solar. Toma distancia, va el toque. Y el balón entró.
Claiming there's not enough room. Gets it to Chiles. He's on the board. Sockers back within 3. Reza plays it in. Flicked on by Kraig Chiles. 2 goals for him, and the Sockers are back within 2. Down the barrel of a 3-man wall and a 4th on the edge of it. It's laid off for Chiles, guides it into the corner. It's 297. He's 1 away from tying Bronco Segota for first place on the all-time San Diego Sockers scoring list. A 3-on-1 going the other way. Play to the back post. Chiles has tied Bronco Segota for most goals in a San Diego Sockers jersey.
Sockers from the beginnings with the first half line change there. Real patient build up.
Beautiful flick and a tremendous finish.
That is magnificent all around. Patient build up. Beautiful stuff. Using the entire field.
Talut wants it inside that box. Chiles! 2-0.
He's breaking it tonight.
294 for Kraig Chiles. He's just 4. Chiles working against Peterson. Chiles gets a half yard of space and skips it right through Waltman. Hat trick for Kraig Chiles, and the Sockers are back on top.
Great touch by Scotty Martin.
It's 2-on-2. Game, set, match, San Diego, and it's Kraig Chiles. Who else?
His night, his time, his finish.
But went on to hit 27. As this is Chiles. 2-0 San Diego. Power play goal for Kraig Chiles. It's number 285 as the race to catch Bronx against Turlock. Have 3 different goal scorers here tonight.
Oh!
Chiles with his second. Gorgeous ball to the back post from Cerda. Streaming forward for the Sockers, plays it in, and it's LSO to get the first. Chiles posting up. Chiles gets his second.
Magnificent. What a turn, what a drive, far post, no feeds Claire, look out here.
And it's Chiles, it's the hat trick. It's 7-0 San Diego.
Let the hats go, Kraig Chiles.